I'm Jay Pitts, a real estate broker, agent, leader, and investor. For the last decade, I've navigated the craziest of real estate markets this country has ever seen, selling over 2,000 homes, moving in and out of markets, always ahead of the curve. And now I'm bringing that perspective to you. This is your resource, and Real Talk About Real Estate starts right now.
We're back, folks. Pardon. Look at that. Throat clear, right in the open. Yes, we're back. Resource, Real Talk About Louisville Real Estate. I'm your host, Jay Pitts, broker owner at RE/MAX Premier Properties, leader of JT Pitts and Associates. The Barry White voice failed me today, unfortunately. Yeah, I wish. Yeah, totally off my game now, but let's rock and roll. We're here for another episode. Let me handle some business real quick before we get into today's topic. We sincerely appreciate you joining us here at Resource. All of the responses that we get from you guys, it really makes it exciting. We want you to share the podcast, share our show and our content with anybody that you might find that would be valuable for. So let's let you know how to do that. The Resource Podcast on Facebook. That's our Facebook page. Resource Real Talk About Louisville Real Estate is our private Facebook group. If you'd like to get access to that, you just got to hit me somewhere. You can find me, social DMs, text message, call, what have you. I will get you added. No worries. That will get you the access to watch the show live each week on Wednesday, right around lunch. You can find us furthermore on Instagram at JPittsRealtor, Reels for snippets, TikTok at J_Pitts for more of the same snippets of each episode, at JTPA Louisville on Twitter if you want to hear my thoughts on non-real estate related things, mostly Bitcoin, personal issues, what have you. You can find us full-length episodes on youtube.com at /JPittsRealtor. That is the video variety. And also the podcast is available in audio platforms, pretty much anywhere you podcast, but most specifically, we'd appreciate your support on Apple Podcasts or iTunes. Give us a follow, 5-star review, what have you. We would love to have your interest and attention there, or Spotify, which is also available to most people. Give us a follow either place. We sincerely appreciate it. Okay, let's get into today's topic, which is quite simply and can be summed up as with one word: confidence. So recently, I had the idea from a good friend of mine who started with the goal of producing 30-second videos in 30 days. It was more consumer facing, tips and tricks and all the like, in terms of, the whole how to buy and sell for, kind of variety and approach. I wanted to do something similar with respect to real estate agents, and we are going to do that. You're going to see a new piece of content, JTP Quick Hits, JTP University Quick Hits. So we're going to give you that here very, very soon. But in the process, I surveyed my agents. As you know, many of you, we have kind of like 85, 90-ish, depending on the day, agents here within the brokerage at RE/MAX Premier Properties. We have approximately 40 agents on JT Pitts and Associates. So these are people that I interface with on a daily basis, people that I like to take their temperature here and there as to what content they would like to hear from me. So I polled them. I asked them. I did bribe them with a car detail for their responses, but I asked them to give me topics that they felt could be addressed in 30 seconds that were agent specific, that would help them in their business, grow their business. And I got an overwhelming response. So, it's great. Everything was good. Everything was very, very helpful. And they gave me the topics that I need to go and produce some more content for you. However, in that exercise, I found a fairly consistent topic rising to the top. And I felt like I would use that topic today in today's podcast. And that topic is confidence. A lot of questions rooted in confidence with more specificity towards delivering list price recommendations or handling objections or all those things. And the root cause was the situation at bay was how to confidently deal with your clients. We'll deal with those individual questions on the quick hits episodes that are to come. But I thought, some of these questions were even as basic and broad as how do you build confidence as a new agent? Okay. Are you confident in yourself? Do you believe in yourself? What do you do to engender confidence in other people? So I thought again that I would talk about a little bit about that today. So I think you have to start by understanding very simply in the ways that confidence can be built within the real estate industry and mostly in any endeavor. It's 2 E's, easy to remember. 2 ways to improve confidence are through experience and education. Now, the trouble with experience is it takes time and opportunity to gain. You have to be a real estate agent in the industry practicing daily for a prescribed amount of time for experience to take root. Some success is required because if you're not successful at procuring clients to work with, how are you going to gain experience and knowledge through working with clients? Okay, so you may not, or everyone may not, have the same opportunity to build confidence through experience. Some people have lots of confidence because of decades of experience. Some people do a lot of business in a very short period of time and generate a wealth of experience despite the fact that time was limited. But any way you slice it, time has an impact. Time and opportunity has an impact. What if you don't make enough to live and stay in the business for 1 year? Are you ever going to gain enough experience to be credible in this industry? Probably not. Do you have the opportunity to gain more experience as time goes along? Probably so, as long as you can stay in the business. What's the alternative? As I said before, it's education. More specifically, learning from someone else. Being taught or observing someone else's experience to shape and mold the decisions you're able to make or willing to make or confident enough to make from someone else's experience. That can manifest in a lot of different ways. You can go to real estate school, which all of you did to get your license. You can do PLE, which all of you are required to do before your first 2 years of the business are up. You can do continuing education if PLE is not a thing for you or you're beyond that. Continuing education is sitting in a classroom typically and learning from someone else's experience, someone else's education. You can go to seminars. You can hire coaches. You can learn from your broker. You can have classes in your brokerage. You can do all sorts of things to increase your levels of confidence through education. The only curative for a lack of experience is education. It's the only other way. Some people are born with more confidence than others, but if a need exists to increase confidence and experience is not yet available, then it must be achieved through education. Here in this office, it looks a lot like a roundtable meeting on Friday, a tactical training on a Wednesday. Sometimes there are guest speakers, sometimes it's just myself, and a team meeting on Monday, followed by an every other week small group meeting to discuss trends, market movements, developments in the industry. We provide a lot. We toe the line of offering too much and not enough. How much to offer to get people to engage, and in what shape and form does it need to look like to gain maximum levels of uptake? I found that my agents don't learn well from a PowerPoint presentation. They learn well by feeling that they're sitting in an open forum where questions can be asked and answered in real time as they come to them. Does it require some discipline in keeping things on track? Yes, it absolutely does. But that uptake is what we're after because we are relatively young in years of experience here at RE/MAX Premier Properties. We're quite productive for our relative lack of experience, or lack of experience in age or in years. We're quite productive, which means my agents earn and learn. That's a good one. I'm going to remember that. Earn and learn. They earn and learn a lot in a short period of time. But once you get past all of those programmatic educational opportunities, there's still many, many more opportunities to learn. And chief among them, in my opinion, is mentorship. A 1-to-1, 2-to-1, 3-to-1 ratio, 5-to-1 ratio with a credible, experienced, efficient, productive agent leading lesser experienced individuals striving for those same things is a very, very good environment for building confidence. When you are brand new to the business and you're facing negotiating a repair request, which is the single greatest reason a contract gets released in today's market, and you get to overhear an experienced agent address the issues that are giving you anxiety about how to speak to your client or another agent and wrestle the opposing forces within a transaction, when you get to hear a credible professional navigate that with sincere skill, it's a transformational experience. When you go from zero to hero because of the words you choose, it's an incredible experience. You come away feeling like nearly anything is possible. So once again, education and experience. It's the only two ways to improve confidence. But let's take a step back and consider, before we pursue confidence, because a confident feeling internally does manifest, but I also believe that projecting confidence, when confidence may not exist, or at least to the level you project, is extremely beneficial and predictive of success. So let's talk about that for a moment. Let's talk about that, and let's say that there are a few fundamentals that need to be considered when someone is attempting to project confidence. A few specific properties, characteristics about how you carry yourself, about how you communicate, that tell someone who you're interacting with whether you have confidence. Your level of confidence expresses to them how much experience or education that you have. You see how we're in this circular kind of situation? But make no mistake that projection of confidence, and yes, it absolutely can border on cockiness, and you need to be very careful not to cross that line. But if you can project confidence and straddle that line, walk right up to it without crossing, you can absolutely improve your outcomes and the outcomes that you pursue for your clients. What are those things? Well, let's consider the fundamentals. Let's consider the elements, if you will. The elements, number one, body language. This is different than this. Sorry for those of you listening via the podcast audio version only, but a slumped posture is certainly different in terms of projecting confidence than shoulders back, head up, eye contact. If you struggle with this, I suggest you work on it day and night, because there's little more important than good posture when it comes to projecting confidence. The larger element that posture falls under would be body language. It's a little more general, a little less specific, but body language is incredibly important. How you walk, how you stand, how you sit in a meeting. Your gestures, all of those things give a peek into your psyche. One thing that neurolinguistic programming experts talk about is the point to self. Point to self. And if you're watching this on video, you'll see I'm patting my own chest as I talk. You'll see people do that. That body language in a positive moment suggests that I take responsibility. I am in charge. I am in control. So use the point to self. Use it actively with your conscious mind, but build subconscious cues to say that I got this to your clients. What I usually say is, in this situation, point to self. What we usually recommend when we find this to be the case is, how I've helped clients succeed when this happens in the past are. Point to self is body language. Use motion to your advantage. It conveys energy. Body language and posture. Third element is tone of voice. You'll hear it a lot here in the podcast. In fact, a lot of these things you will hear in this podcast. You'll probably start to psychoanalyze my movements, but one thing you should know is that each and every one of them are on purpose. They're chosen actively. Am I capable of getting outside of my intention? Absolutely. But the truth is I stand here before this microphone with the sincere quest to convey a specific message to you. And I implore all of these elements to do so. Tone of voice. You'll hear upswings and downswings. When you say something with resolve, your tone of voice tends to be lower and sharp. This is how we're going to get something done. You'll notice oftentimes there are sharp body language or hand gestures to go along with it, a downstroke motion. This is how we get it done. Not, this is how we get it done. The lack of confidence comes with the upswing in pitch or tone. Use your tone wisely. When someone doesn't want to hear your message, when you are forced into a circumstance to tell them something that they don't want to hear, soften your voice. I'm really sorry to tell you this, but unfortunately, the buyers decided to release the contract. But we're going to get it back on the market. We're going to get the thing sold again, and this time we're getting it to the closing table. Just in those 2 or 3 sentences, you heard the spectrum of tone and how it can be used to your advantage in conveying confidence to your clients, to other agents, or anyone. You can be trying to negotiate with your children about going to bed on time. You better get up there and get in that bed right now. Famously, my 4-year-old daughter decides she doesn't sleep at night, or nap for that matter. My wife, though she doesn't listen to this podcast, so we'll probably never have that discussion. She hears me talk enough. Complains about her lack of napping when she's at home with Evelyn. When Evelyn is with Daddy, Daddy says, honey, have a good nap. Don't get out of this bed until I come get you. I love you. Good night. She rarely gets up. Sometimes she does. And we repeat the process. But that finality of tone tells her that I'm serious. It's another element of projecting confidence. Number 4 is word choice. You'll hear me scuffle about, to be frank. It's not easy to have a conversation with yourself for 30 minutes on a podcast, asking myself and answering my own questions. But word choice is incredibly important, and it goes in accordance with the next element and last element that I'm going to share with you, which is silence. Most of you convey lack of confidence through the need to fill silence. And I'm going to tell you, and we'll get to this more in a minute, that silence is one of your greatest allies in negotiating and in projecting confidence. And let's just face it, the need for projecting confidence typically shows up in negotiation. And if you don't believe something is a negotiation, you're probably going to lose that negotiation. Because in any sales situation, every single conversation that happens, someone gets closed and someone does the closing. Whether that's your client or your prospective client making the choice to work with you, you're doing the closing. Whether it's them convincing you to submit an offer well below listing price, despite the fact that there's interest from multiple parties, you got closed. Whether it's asking for ridiculous repairs during inspection, or you convincing them what is reasonable and realistic to request, somebody got closed. So, word choice, specificity, directness, or indirectness, depending on what the situation calls for. Word choice is incredibly important. Don't choose 8 words when 4 will do. Be precise with your language. And use silence. What do I mean by that? My biggest need for improvement on this podcast is you-knows, ums and uhs, and transitions between thoughts. I have to convey what's in my brain, and it has to come out of my mouth in a way that you can understand, find entertaining, want to come back, and make sense of really what I'm trying to say. I made no bones about the fact that I produce this podcast as a method of training my agents or showing other people why they should consider me to be a resource in this industry that I love so much. It's a way of giving back, but also supporting the businesses that I have, because everything I do supports everything else I do. And if I was talking to a group, I would pull a Tom Ferry yes or yes as a question. But silence is what should happen when the perfect transition does not present itself to you with precision in your mind. The perfect next thing to say. You cannot be a good listener and be thinking about what you're going to say next. You cannot communicate effectively without being a good listener. So what all that leads to is getting comfortable enough in your own skin to let silence sit on the other party. Let them mentally prepare themselves for what they may be about to hear from you. And when you speak with precision. And when you ask a question, wait for an answer. When you close, the next person that speaks loses. And I know that may presume a win-loss situation, a win-loss dynamic between you and your client. I know that it might. And that's not how we do business. We do business with an everyone wins philosophy. But remember, sometimes your job is to help your client get what they want. I repeat, sometimes your job is to help your client get what they want by helping them stop being their worst enemy. And the uncomfortable silence just might be the tool to help you get there. So to recap, there are only two ways to build confidence: through experience and education. Experience comes with time, and no one can shorten time. You can do more deals and have more success and build more experience in shorter time, but the time has to elapse. If you're the kind of person that grabs the business by the throat and runs forward and does as many deals as you possibly can early in your career to build that network, build that backlog of business and experience to help you transgress through the business in the future, you're going to have success sooner, you're going to learn faster, all those things. If you're not that person, or if it just doesn't happen for you, or you just can't get out of your own way, then you need to learn through education. Education, the most primitive form, is literally watching someone else do what you would like to do, someone that does it well, and emulating. Mentorship. Find a mentor, formal or informal. I could be your mentor just because you're listening to this podcast, and I would be honored to do that for you. And let's remember that projection of confidence is just as important as having confidence in and of itself. Heard fake it till you make it, right? There's some truth to that. Project the confidence, learn how to project the confidence, and guess what? You just might start believing it yourself. How do we project confidence? Employ good body language, strong posture, strong tone of voice, or appropriate tone of voice, depending on the context. You see how I pivoted, lowered my voice and tone? Be precise in your word choice. Mean what you say. This is a Jeff Pitts quote, which I love quoting him here on this podcast. He had so many of these quotables that had an enormous impact on me. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Choose your words wisely. You can't take them back. Once they're spoken, they're out. And master the use of silence. Get comfortable with it. I often say the path to success in real estate is through being a contrarian. Well, I promise you, the agents that you negotiate with, the clients that rely on you, anyone you tend to negotiate with in this industry is more than likely not comfortable in silence. If you can get comfortable within silence, you win by default. It's really important. That's all I got for today, folks. Quick reminder. Thanks for joining in. We really appreciate you. The Resource Podcast is our page on Facebook. Resource, Real Talk About Louisville Real Estate is our Facebook group. Give us a request any way you want to. I'll get you in there. As long as you're a real estate agent and local, we'd love to have you. At J Pitts Realtor on Twitter for personal use, or excuse me, at JTPA Louisville for personal use on Twitter, but feel free to follow me there. I love a good following. At J Pitts Realtor on Instagram for show snippets under Reels and real estate related content posted in the feed. And every once in a while, a cute pic of a kid, maybe the one that doesn't nap. Can't make any promises. J_Pitts on TikTok for the same thing virtually that we put on Reels, a little unique spin that Patrick likes to work for TikTok, and it's kind of native platform there. YouTube.com/JPitts Realtor for full-length episodes of the video variety. Pretty much all the home of all of our video content you will find there. Lots of cool and interesting stuff. Give us some support. We would love it. We would really appreciate support on Apple, iTunes, or Apple Podcasts, whatever you want to call it. Throw us a follow or a 5-star review. Same on Spotify. We'd love to have you. But if either of those platforms do not work, we are pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts. Would love your ideas for episodes in the future. Look out for JTPU making a rebirth, if you will, in a different format. We're going to be back with the 5-minute episodes probably real soon as well. But, any way you like to consume our content, we really genuinely appreciate it. Once again, I am your host, Jay Pitts, broker owner, RE/MAX Premier Properties, leader of JT Pitts and Associates, and we will see you soon.